Well, this is quite a surprising statistic. One person hit by a train in the United States every 3 hours. That's 8 people a day. In this week's Know the Law segment, attorney Tom Sinas joining us to talk about the laws and safety measures in place along railways. A lot of laws that I didn't realize also.
Yeah, boy, and the statistic is amazing. Wow. And unfortunately, Michigan is in the top 10 states in the country for motor vehicle train collisions. And you would think that this is not a problem after as long as trains have been around in this country, but like everything else with motor vehicles, whenever they involve something else, injury and death can unfortunately happen
Simply
too
enough,
often.
You see a train coming, just don't push it.
Obviously. Right, I mean, it seems so obvious, right? Don't push it, but you can't repeat it enough. Obviously, if you have any indication that a train might be coming, you need to stop. Now, most of the time, you're encountering a well-controlled railroad crossing with arms that come down and flashing red lights that come on, and that's the most obvious thing. Don't try to drive around the railroad crossing. Don't try to go through a flashing red light. But you know, you can't always assume that those crossings are going to be working every time. So it never hurts to, as you're approaching a railroad crossing, particularly if you're on a real road, make sure that there isn't a train coming, even if the arms aren't down. Well, what about if you're not in the car? What if you think, well, you know, I'm going to go kick around the railroad tracks and walk up and down? Remember this, railroad tracks and the area around railroad tracks are private property.
Trespassing.
And they're owned by different companies, but they're definitely not owned by the public. So it's generally considered trespassing to be walking along railroad property on the tracks or next to the tracks. But more importantly, it's not safe, even though so many of us have done it, right? The reason it's not safe is because these areas are not designed to have people hanging out and walking even alongside the tracks. So for example, bridges where railroads cross over, those are only designed to have the clearance for the train. They're not designed to account the fishermen who decided to catch some fish off the side of the track. So stay away. What if you are injured at a railroad crossing, okay? Here's the simplest advice I can give people. You need to talk to an attorney who specializes in that area of law. Because who owns the railroad crossing, whether it was functioning properly, and so on and so forth, those are very complicated questions that don't lend itself to easy answers. But hopefully you'll never find yourself in that place because you won't be hanging out on the railroad tracks. But we're seeing this trend where people are taking pictures for their wedding pictures or for their school prom pictures with the railroad tracks as the background because it looks cool. Well, if you're going to do that, just remember, you might be trespassing, and more importantly, you might be putting yourself at serious risk.
Got that right. All right, Tom, as always, best place to track you guys down. Need some advice?
So they can give us a call, West Michigan, 616-301-3333. You can find us online at www.sinasdramis.com or send us an email at info@sinasdramis.com.
All right, good advice. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks for having me.